You walk into the room and the baby goes crazy, not crying, the complete opposite. Arms wide open, whole body leaning forward, making a noise that's somewhere between a squeal and a demand. Then the other parent walks in 10 minutes later and gets a calm look, maybe a small smile, nothing even close to what just happened. And if you were the parent who got that quiet smile, you already know exactly how that feels. Somewhere between finding it funny and a small hurt you never say out loud. Most parents call it a phase. Doctors say it's totally normal. And honestly, both of those things are true. But scientists who have spent their whole careers studying how babies bond will tell you something that neither of those answers really explains. What looks like a simple preference is actually one of the most advanced systems that evolution has ever built. And the baby running it has no idea that's what they're doing. Let's start with what almost every parent assumes. The baby prefers whoever feeds them, whoever is around the most, whoever does the most caregiving. Simple cause and effect. More time equals stronger bond. That sounds completely fair, and for a long time, it was exactly what child development science believed. Then scientists actually tested it. A 2013 study from the University of Haifa followed 112 families through the first 18 months of a child's life. Researchers kept track of caregiving hours, feeding routines, nighttime wake-ups, everything. Then they measured which parent the baby was more attached to at 6, 9, and 12 months using a standard test called the strange situation procedure. What they found basically broke the contact time theory apart. Total hours of caregiving did not consistently predict which parent the baby preferred. In a good number of those families, babies showed stronger attachment toward the parent who spent less time with them. The researchers had gone in expecting to confirm what everyone already thought. Instead, they got a result that made no simple sense. So if time isn't the answer, what is? The answer came from a completely different direction. In 2019, a research team at the Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences published a study around something they called interactional contingency. That term sounds complicated, but the idea is actually very simple. Contingency just means responsiveness. Not how often you are physically there, but how reliably you notice what the baby is trying to say and respond to it right in that moment. A parent who is home for 12 hours a day, but often distracted, often stressed, often on their phone or lost in their own thoughts, creates a very different experience inside a baby's brain than a parent who is only there for 4 hours, but is fully present for all 4 of those hours. The baby's brain, researchers found, is not counting hours. It is tracking something much more specific. It is tracking how often this person actually notices me. And here's where things get really surprising. Babies as young as 8 weeks old can already tell the difference between a response that is connected to something they did and a response that is not. And researchers tested this using something called the mobile contingency task. A ribbon was tied from a baby's leg to a hanging mobile. Every time they kicked, the mobile moved. Most babies figured this out within minutes and started kicking more, clearly enjoying the control. Then researchers broke the connection and made the mobile move on its own, randomly. The babies noticed. Not in a way they could say out loud, but in a way the data showed clearly. Heart rate changes, pulling back, something that in an older person you would call frustration and then giving up. The researchers concluded that the baby brain is already built with a system that detects cause and effect, the feeling of I did something and someone picked up on it. And every single moment with a caregiver runs through that same built-in system. When one parent consistently catches the early signs, the quiet fussing before the real cry, the change in body posture before the full meltdown, the specific way the baby reaches when they want to be held versus when they just want to be close, that parent builds up something researchers call felt security. Not love in some big general way, but a feeling stored in the brain that says this person pays attention to me. This person is safe. The baby who reaches toward that parent from across the room is not making an emotional choice. They are acting on the result of a test that has been running since the very first weeks of life. But there is one more layer to this that most parents never see coming because the preference does not stay the same. And the way it changes tells you something really interesting about how early thinking actually works. Researchers at the University of Minnesota's Institute of Child Development have followed preference patterns through infancy and keep finding the same thing. Between 6 and 9 months, most babies lock onto one main caregiver. This is the peak of what people call stranger anxiety, and it matches up with a big change in how the baby's brain sorts the world. Familiar versus unfamiliar, safe versus unknown. The preference is not really just about that one parent. It is the baby's brain drawing a line around everything it has decided is safe and moving toward the center of that circle whenever things feel uncertain. Here is what that looks like day to day. And the parent who gets pushed away during this time is not being rejected for who they are. They are being used as a measuring stick. Watch what happens when that parent walks in during a calm, easy moment. No stress, no strangers, nothing uncomfortable. The preference relaxes a lot. It comes back strong the moment the baby is tired, sick, or overwhelmed. The attachment order does not show love. It shows how the baby reads safety. And the parent at the top of that order is whoever the baby's brain has recorded as the most reliable sign that everything is okay. Now, there is one finding that completely changed how researchers see the parent who is not chosen first. For a long time, the thinking was that being the second attachment figure meant being less important, easier to replace. The research from the last 10 years has taken that idea apart completely. A big long-term study published in the journal Child Development followed children from infancy all the way to age 7 and found that the strength of the bond with the second caregiver, the one who does not get the big dramatic reaching arms at the end of the day, predicted specific outcomes that the main attachment bond did not, especially the child's willingness to explore new situations, how well they bounced back when the main caregiver was not around, and their ability to connect with people outside the family. Researchers started calling this the secure base extension. The main attachment figure is home base. The second attachment figure is what teaches the child that it is okay to leave home base at all. The baby who gives you the easy smile while completely losing it over the other parent is not ignoring you. They are learning through you, figuring out through every moment with you that the world outside their inner circle is also safe, that someone new can become someone familiar, that unfamiliar can become okay. You are not the backup. You are teaching a completely different lesson, one that no one else can teach. There is one thing worth watching for, though, because healthy preference looks a certain way, and researchers say it matters when that pattern is missing. Normal attachment preference is relaxed when things are calm and gets stronger when things are stressful. A baby who strongly prefers one parent should still be able to calm down with the other one eventually, should still play with the other during easy moments, and should still settle when the preferred parent comes back after being away. What worries child development doctors is something different. A baby who cannot be calmed by either parent. A baby who reacts to both parents and to strangers with the same flat, blank response. A baby who does not seem to look at either parent's face with any real interest or recognition. These patterns, researchers at the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development note, can point to something going on inside the baby's nervous system in how it processes people and connection, and it has nothing to do with how good the parenting is. Catching it early and before 12 months makes a real difference in what kind of help is possible in a way that waiting until the toddler years simply cannot match. Trust your gut on this. So you are watching this child more closely than anyone else in the world. And parents who feel like something seems off are almost always right that it is worth looking into. So the next time a baby reaches right past you, toward the other person in the room, think about what you are really seeing. A brain that has been running a constant quiet test since before it could hold its own head up. A nervous system that has stored thousands of tiny moments and used them to build a picture of who sees me most clearly. A small human doing the most complex thing any living creature does, sorting the world by how safe it feels and leaning toward whoever has made it feel safest the most. That is not rejection. That is precision, and it is the most honest thing any of us ever shows another person. If you have been the non-preferred parent and this changed the way you see that, drop a comment below, because that feeling is way more common than anyone talks about, and the science behind it is way more interesting than anyone expects. And if you want to know why babies fall apart, the second one, parent leaves the room but seem completely fine just 2 minutes later, that is the next video. The brain science behind it is not what most parents would guess.